everybody, it's your old pal Mike. I hope you're happy, healthy, and safe, and I hope that you're having fun with guitars. Welcome back to the channel. This week, you may have already noticed, we've got a special surprise in store for you, and that is the Line 6 DL4 Mark II. It's brand new, it just was announced yesterday at the time of recording, and somehow I'm lucky enough to have gotten one to play around with. I've had it for about a month and a half, and it has been a lot of fun. Although a little overwhelming, because I don't know if you're aware of this, but there's like 3 times as many sounds available in this box, and that can be kind of overwhelming for someone like me. I mean, look at my pedal shelf behind me. It is full of single-use pedals. Pedals with just a handful of knobs that you know what it does. This thing has 2 layers of delay on it. We've got the old legacy effects from the Mark I, as well as 15 brand new, never before heard, I actually don't know that. Maybe they were on the Helix, I don't know. But what's important is that they're new to the DL4, they're in the box, they're ready to go, and they're a lot of fun. So for the purposes of this video, we're gonna completely ignore the old delays because it's been 22 years. You've likely heard them before, and they work and perform just the same. Like many of you, I have a history with the DL4. I got my first one back in 2003. I had to special order it from the mom and pop shop in my hometown. It was, at the time, the most expensive pedal I had ever heard of, but I was so happy to get it. And believe it or not, this was only the second delay pedal I had ever used at the time. The first being a vintage pink AD9 that belonged to my friend Mike that he let me borrow. Actually, he let me steal that. I never gave it back. I feel guilty about that. But that's neither here nor there. So not only was this the second delay pedal I'd ever used, but also the first I'd encountered with tap tempo, and that completely blew my mind. It made it so much easier to use and get the right tempo when I was playing live, and I basically never went back. I have tried so many other pedals out there, and to be sure, there are a lot of good ones out there. I'm not saying they're not. What I am saying is that I just got so used to the way the DL4 worked that I never wanted anything else. I never even bonded with anything else. So no matter what else I tried, I kept coming back to the DL4, and it has been a mainstay on every iteration of my board since 2003. It has gone on so many tours with me. It has gone across the pond with me to Europe when I moved there, when I moved back to the States, playing shows, playing tours, rocking hard across the American United States. And I'm aware that the old ones didn't have the best reputation for longevity. They broke a lot. I myself have only owned 3. I have only owned 3. My first one that I got in 2003 lasted for well over a decade through abuse and punishment. And then it eventually died through a power supply issue, but that was relatively easy to fix. And all I did was replace those busted caps and went on my merry way for a few more years. It trucked along, and then eventually it did die the EEPROM death that we're all so familiar with. My second one, I think, lasted 5 or 6 years. Did pretty good, but eventually even that one got tired and old, and it's actually right here. Yeah, this is my second one. I don't really know where my first is. It might be being used as a doorstop, but this guy treated me well. And then somehow I was lucky enough to get on the list for the 20th anniversary DL4s that were sparkle painted. But that thing, it lives on my current board. It will probably stay there, although the Mark II, it's a little smaller, it's cooler, it feels more robust. So let's talk about the Mark II, but before we do, I want to give a disclaimer. Line 6 sent this to me for free. I got the pedal, I've had it for a while, and they are also reimbursing me for this video. So I want you to know that up front so that you can weigh the things that I tell you against your own thoughts, your own opinions, your own needs as a player, which is what you should be doing with every video you see on YouTube anyway. That's right, I'm in the pocket of big delay! Slightly more compact delay. So the first thing that impressed me about the DL4 Mark II when I took it out of the box was the size. This thing is so much smaller than the old one. In fact, let's contrast and compare. The old one, it's got the phalanges, which always kind of creeped me out. It's got this giant empty space for batteries that I don't know that I've ever actually used. Maybe once when I first got it. So the new one should be a lot friendlier overall on your precious pedalboard space. So that's a win. The second thing that struck me was that it basically is the same pedal, only a little bit better, which is what you want with a refresh. When I'm looking at this, I'm seeing the same ABC tap. I'm seeing the same controls for the looper, which works exactly the same as it always did. It's the same looper that you know and love, just with the option to expand its memory via an SD card, which is really cool. On the back, you'll also note that there's a new XLR input for a mic. That's very cool, which is another thing that you can do with the DL4 that had never occurred to me. So we're gonna skip that. That's not really what I use the DL4 for anyway. It has stereo ins and outs like it always did, and that's also great to see. However, I always use it in mono. It's being used in mono right now. We're not gonna get any stereo sounds out of it for the purposes of this demo. We're just gonna use it the way that I always have. But I have to say, it's great to see that the DL4 Mark II works the same way that the old one always did. It's just knobs. You just spin them. You don't have to navigate a menu. You don't have to be like a programmer to understand it. It's just knobs. You hit the Alt/Legacy button if you wanna look at some of the old delays. You hold it down if you wanna access the secret menu of reverbs. That's maybe the only thing that's a little confusing is the reverbs are hidden and you need the cheat sheet. I don't know where mine is, but you need the cheat sheet to know which reverb you're selecting. All right, with that out of the way, let's get into the sounds, which is what you're really here for. You want to know if it sounds good, and I will do my best to make it sound good. No promises. I'm using my 61 Jazzmaster Pancake, an old Jazzmaster in need of new strings desperately. Let's take a spin through the new ones. Let's just start over here. This one's called Heliosphere. So that's Heliosphere. That's kind of a fun one. It feels like a big pitchy delay. Let me try... What does vintage digital sound like? That sounds like something I'd enjoy. That sounds familiar. Let me kick on some drive. I'm using the Little Lightning Devices Masses. Yeah, I like that a lot. That sounds really familiar and old school to me. Let's move on. So what was the one that I found earlier? Ah, glitch. Well, that's a lot of fun. That one's good. And I remember the glitch from the Helix, but that's a really fun one. Ah, that's a good sound to have on tap. What else can we use? Ooh, what is that? Ah, multipass. Multipass, that's pretty fun. Let's try dual delay. Let's see what that's like. Oh, it's kind of like a U2 thing. Dual delay, that's pretty fun. I'm having some good times with that. Let's try pitch echo. Clean. That's fun. Now the last thing I want to do is throw this on the floor and use the looper. So let me reset and I'll join you in a moment. Alright, I hope that gives you an idea of what the DL4 Mark II is capable of, what makes it so cool, what makes it stand out a bit from the Mark I, the original, the old, the venerable legend that it is. It's a bit long in the tooth, so I think the Mark II is a worthy successor. I want to thank you so much for watching, for coming back to the channel again and again, for liking, sharing, commenting, subscribing, doing all of that good stuff that you know YouTube loves. Special shout out to my supporters on Patreon. I love you, I appreciate you, and I cannot wait to share more about the DL4 Mark II with you in particular. If you yourself are interested in finding out what you can do to directly support the channel, please click the link in the description down below. And before I sign off, let me say, I hope you're taking care of yourselves and each other, and we'll see you in the next one.